Hi, I'm Nancy Canning, and I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm the author of this book, Your Soul's Calling, and also another book, Your Life's Calling. And today I want to talk about the difference between fear and intuition, because we often get the two mixed up. So come right back, and I will talk for a few minutes about how to tell the difference. So with intuition, it comes as a very quiet, soft voice most often. Now I'm using generalities, there can be exceptions, but in general, your intuition is not based in fear. And that's the big difference between the two of them. Fear is fear. It's based in having you be afraid of a certain outcome. Now, there's the fear that's natural and correct when our life is actually in danger. That doesn't happen all that often. Most often, the fear is simply an old program running in your brain about some terrible outcome that's going to happen. So fear makes you shrink inside. It will often tell you a story of these terrible things that are likely to happen. It can cause worry. There is a negative approach to life when you're in the midst of fear. It's warning you that something terrible is going to happen. Now, the problem is that's usually not the truth. Think about your own life. 99% of the time, that's probably not true. Those terrible things did not happen unless you create it that way. And that's a whole nother video of how you create based on fear. But fear is simply meant to be a warning. It's not your intuition. Intuition comes as a soft voice. It's a knowing. There can be a feeling within you. It doesn't have a story attached. In other words, it doesn't say, do this because this, and this will then happen, which is what our mind does. Intuition simply says, do this. It's a short statement. It is quiet. It is calm and neutral. There's not fear and there's not excitement. See, excitement, if you're really all buzzed about something, that's not usually how I've found that intuition works. That's our mind at work making up stories about what might happen. Intuition is simply neutral, quiet, short, to the point, and doesn't repeat itself over and over and over again the way our mind will do. The ego will get in there. Now here's how it can get a little complicated. We may get a short message from our intuition, such as what happened with me. I write about it in my book, Your Life's Calling. I was supposed to sell my house, and I didn't really have any plans or reason to sell my house other than I was getting some strong guidance and intuition. So I had fixed up the landscape in the front of the house, which I had never done before. This was the first house I had owned. And when I stood back to admire it, a little voice inside simply said, that will make it sell more quickly. And I remember thinking, I'm not selling. And I went on, and a while later, there was another similar voice of the new owners will love this landscaping. And still, my resistance would come up, and I go, I have no plans to sell. That was in the fall. And on New Year's Day of that following year, I woke up, and my very first thought that morning was simply, sell the house. That was it. Nothing else, but it was so clear, and I've done enough work that I knew that was my higher self, my intuition telling me. So I said, okay, and I went about and I sold the house and bought another one, and that's how it can work. And even right now, I'm in the midst of that. I'm doing a lot of work with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love going to his week-long workshops because miracles happen, absolute miracles happen. And I love being a part of a group committed to miracles and change and transformation and the mystical. So I've been planning, I love going to Cancun. I live in Florida, and it's a very quick trip over to Cancun at this luxury resort. So I'm taping this in early January, and his next one is in June. And that's one I'm planning on going on. And the one he's doing after that is in Portland at the end of July, and I have no interest in going to Portland. Except every time I think about Cancun, my mind shifts and I start thinking about Portland. And that's how I'm understanding the intuition is working. It's a very soft, it's taken its time, but I'm really clear. I'm not going to Cancun. I choose to follow this inner knowing, even though I don't know why. And so with intuition, it's important, don't put a story onto why. I don't know why. I'm not going to make up stories about why not Cancun and why yes to Portland. It's simply just listen and follow. And you begin to learn to trust. And if you're new at this, the way you learn to trust your intuition is start very small. Start asking which way to drive home from work that day. And don't put a story on it that says, oh, there'll be an accident if I go that way, and oh, I missed something by doing it this way. Just follow your intuition. Ask and do it. And you learn. Sometimes it works out really well, sometimes it doesn't work out. But pay attention to how it feels in your body. It is your inner voice. And so there can be a knowing. You develop a relationship with your own inner self so that when you get an intuition, you know, you learn to trust when it's true and when it's not. And the thing is, you can get an intuitive hit and the very next thought is fear-based because the intuition is asking you to change, to grow, and your programming becomes afraid and instantly steps in with fear. So that's when you go back and you revisit, what did you just hear? How did you get it? Was it the fear that came first? Was it the intuition? It's your journey. So learn to really get to know the different voices. There are times when we shouldn't be doing something. Fear will have a loud voice that causes you to have a story and shrink back and be afraid. Intuition will simply softly, gently guide you on another path. And that, from my experience, really is the one to follow. I write more about this in this book, Your Soul's Calling. It's the chapter called Guidance and Intuition. I talk all about that. And I hope that you really start to practice it more. And if you're very good at your intuition, up the ante. Start asking for there to be even higher levels of you following your intuition so that you're growing and evolving into the highest version of yourself for this lifetime. If you'd like any help with this, I do private sessions online, on the phone, on Skype, on FaceTime, all over the world. Nobody has to travel anymore to come and see me, which makes it wonderful. From the privacy of your own home, we can do work to help you move aside what's in the way of listening to your intuition, what's keeping you stuck, whatever it is that's making you afraid or limited or not living the life that you really love. And my information is below. It's ncanning@capecod.net or nancycanning.com. Thank you.